Hello, in this video I'm going to demonstrate all the new functionality we have prepared for version 6.1, which is going to be released soon. The number of features is pretty large, and it will be useful both for freelancers and teams because it includes general improvements and outsourcing improvements and etc. So you will see everything in this video, so let's begin. And the first one will be about UI customization. Users can now change appearance of TBM by changing font size using one of predefined sizes here. Font family, we have added around more than 10 most used fonts, so you can make selection and it will be immediately applied, and you can see it how it is reflected in UI like this. And also font color. By default TBM has font color which is not black but kind of gray. I suppose it's like this, and now it's possible to select default font color and it will be also immediately applied when I make a selection here like that. We still do not allow to change background colors because it reflects our corporate colors, but probably in future versions we'll implement this as well. Also, in terms of UI changing, we have added a new item to the language selector. It contains list of languages which you can select, and also this new item here, select formatting culture for dates and numbers. Say you have some UI language selected, and by default all dates and numbers will be presented using default language selected in your browser. So even if we have selected Spanish or, for example, American language, we still see dates, for example, in formatted in a culture which is set in my personal browser, which has Russian language. And it is possible to change, to specify explicitly which culture should be used to format dates and numbers. So I can click on this item and select English US, for example. Where it is, let's do it like that. English US, hit OK. And after page reload, you can see that dates are now formatted using default American style. Alright, and now let's move to vendor time management. Let's start from going to list of vendors and let's open some vendor. And if to switch to the settings tab, you will find new group of settings here under which is called productivity settings. Under this group, you will find number of fields which allow you to provide daily productivity for each day of week, because some vendors could work on weekends and other ones could have day offs in the middle of week. So you can specify a number for each day of week, default average volume which vendor can supply. So let's say it is amount of new words which vendor can translate each day. Also, we have workday start time and end time specified in the vendor time zone. So when you will be later selecting and viewing vendor availability, this work time will be automatically converted to your local time, and you will see actually how much volume can vendor provide in your time zone by specific deadline, for example. So after selecting and specifying this daily productivity, you can start using this data in various places of the application. Let's demonstrate this. I go to translation assignments, and let's say I open some assignment, and you can see that we have some date, start date, and we have time specified here, and deadline. Deadline is set for the same date, but for different time. And under vendor selection field, we can click search button, and vendor search dialog has now improved UI. First of all, we've got capacity until deadline column here, which calculates automatically based on vendor availability days, on vendor daily productivity, and ongoing assignments. It displays to you average number of words which one or another vendor can provide by specified time. You can see that average volume of this assignment, which I'm working with now, is 950 words. So for this vendor, we can see that she can provide 700 words, and this cell has yellow color. This one is red one, and this one is green one. And under each vendor, you can find short, tiny timeline demonstrating vendor availability by specified deadline. And if I hover mouse pointer over this cell, you can see that from 9 or 10 o'clock by 1 p.m., this vendor can provide 775 words. This is little less than average volume of this translation assignment, but since it's less, no more as for 10%, we have yellow color here. So this vendor probably can handle this translation by specified time. This vendor has red cell, and it means that probably he cannot provide this translation by the deadline. And we can see that this vendor has 250 words free available volume, and this time slot is busy with some assignment. And this vendor can handle this translation and this as well. So these helpers in the vendor search dialog allow you to quickly determine possibility to use one or another vendor in upcoming work. Alright, so next place where you can find and use this functionality is translation project planning phase. As you know, we have plan assignments under translation projects, but now when we select some vendor, you can find the new information displayed under selected vendor, which shows you how many words can vendor provide by project deadline. And you can see that for this volume, we are close to target value, so probably this vendor can be used. In the same manner, it is used in the quote planning, but I will show it later when we will talk about this. And also we've got a new report, so it's also part of this vendor productivity feature, and you can find it under schedule and planning group of the menu. And here we have vendor's workload, and if I click on this item, you will see a new report. It displays list of vendors with their photos and timeline. Timeline is divided by each day of the specified period of the report. So, and for each day, you will see the same slots showing if vendor is busy or free. In this case, we can see only free cells and days when vendors not working. If I will decrease a little, and you can see that, for example, for this vendor we have this cell occupied by translation assignment. We can click here and view details of our assignment, of this vendor's assignment, like that. If to scroll down, at the end of the report, you will find total volume in work and total volume available totals, which tell you total information for all displayed vendors in the report, so you know how much volume you can handle in the specified period using all your vendors displayed in the report. And if, for example, we will filter by report by language pair, like English, say Russian, we will see only vendors who support selected language pairs, say English Russian and English German, like that. And this means that by the end of August or during this period, we have this free capacity of all displayed vendors, and only this capacity is assigned to them in the specified period. Also, we can filter by vendors, so if we want to get report only for selected vendors, then we can remove filter by language pair, but specify concrete vendors which we want to see in the report. In this way, we can also estimate assigned and available volumes only for selected vendors, like this. So, alright, so let's move to the next feature implemented in version 6.1, and it will be quote planning. We already have a similar feature for project planning, but the same functionality is frequently needed on the phase when you just prepare a quote. So you do not create any assignments, but you wish to estimate how the quote can be delivered, how much expenses you will need to pay to your vendors, which you are going to invite to works created from this quote. So now under quote detail view, we have this new button, quote planning. And if I click on it, we get similar UI which we have for translation project planning, but with some differences, and I will explain them now. First of all, we can set margin in % and fixed amount. So by default, when we prepare a quote and import analysis reports to a quote, application caps prices, default prices set for the selected customer. Instead, you can think to provide lower prices to your client, for example, and you can try to make quote estimation not from default price list, but based on expenses you will have to your vendors. So this way you can use quote planning, and additionally you can estimate if a selected set of vendors able to deliver works included in a quote by a specified deadline. Let's try to see this in action. We have a quote with three services, translation and two services, translation and proofreading, and in 2 languages. You can see that for German we have translation, for French we have translation, and the same for proofreading. Let's say I select some vendor here, and application immediately estimates based on vendor price list how much we will pay to this vendor for this volume. The same for other services. Now we have selected some vendors, and we can see that these vendors will require from you 200 euros of expenses. Then, based on these values, application added 10% plus 100 euros, and we've got this amount. Also, based on vendor availability data, application calculated that closest delivery time is this one. That's okay, because it is earlier than specified deadline than expected deadline specified by a client. That's okay. We can meet this deadline, and amount of our quote could be like this. If we like it, we click select this group, or we can click add a group and select other vendors, which can be also can be doing the same works like this. And we've got a little larger amount here. So we plan that we will use this set of vendors for this quote. And I can select one of groups which I want to apply to a quote, and then I click OK. And in the result, application will automatically recalculate prices in a quote based on target amount which we would like to get. So you can see that we now have this total for this quote. And we can save this quote, submit it to a client, so go through the default workflow used in TBM. Also, you see that a new column was added to the quote items table. It is planned vendor. Since we have now planned some vendors for this quote, application saves these plans, and next time when the quote will be accepted by a client or by manager, application will create not only translation project and translation jobs for this quote, but also translation assignments for these planned vendors. Let's see how it looks like. Let me return status to send, click save, and then let's accept a quote. And when I accepted the quote, a new translation project was created. Under translation jobs, you can find 2 jobs for each language. And we have 2 services in each job. And now if we will switch to assignments, you can see that 3 assignments were created, and this assignments has draft status. So application helped you to create this. You do not need to do this anymore. And you can just start sending probably offers, or if you already have confirmation, then you can send confirmation to your vendors. Anyway, translation assignment document is already created, and it is much easier for you to go through the workflow from this point. So that's another improvement. All right, let's move to the next one. The next one will be UI customization improvements. So first of all, you can see that probably you have noticed already that we have new button here. It's like wizard icon, and when we hover on this icon, we will find some information in a tooltip. First of all, it says current view, translation project, list view. And tooltip says that this button allows to customize current view, and if default view is currently used, then a new one will be created based on the current view. All right. So previously, in previous version, when you wanted to customize this list view, for example, add and remove some columns, you selected settings, list views, found corresponding list view for translation project, made a copy, and then started to edit it. Now it is after editing, you saved changes, returned back to the list of projects, refreshed it, and got changes and previewed your results. Now we have much improved this workflow. There is no more need to open list views, clone it, find necessary list view. Now you just can click this button, and you will see the same list view customization dialog opened in the modal form. You see that since default predefined view was used for the translation project list, application automatically created a copy. Now we can make some changes, for example, remove some fields like this, or drag some columns to the to other places like that. And when I'm ready, I click OK, and a new view will be immediately reflected in the list of projects. So you see that margin is now the first column here, And again, if I don't like something and want to make more changes, I again click this button, make another alterations here, like that. For example, I want to remove as much columns as possible from the list of projects because I have small screen and I need to view only basic data, like that. So I removed most of columns. Margin we also do not need it. Assigned amount, everything is deleted, only a few columns left. Click OK, and now we have updated list of projects. But that's not all. Of course, it's now easier to customize list view, but we have few more improvements. Let's go to the translation, to the dashboard. And another task which is frequently used by our users is dashboard customization. Let's see. We have, for example, this dashboard copy. I switch to it, and we have 3 widgets here. I go to Manage Dashboards and select Dashboard Copy. So this is how it looked in previous version as well. We have list of widgets on the left and schema of widgets on the right. But additionally, we now have preview mode selector, and in addition to layout, we can switch it to real data. And in the result, you will see how your dashboard will look like in the real life when you generate it. And any changes made in the left menu will be immediately reflected in the preview as well. Say if I drag countries here, it will be displayed at the top. You see real data from your database, and then all the widgets configured on the left. In the same manner, if I will double click, for example, on this translation jobs widget, you can see that now this view selector, where you can select which view you wish to display in the dashboard, it now has 2 additional buttons. The first button is preview, which allows to quickly view how this widget will be looking in your dashboard, which columns it has, what data it displays. Also, if you want to change something in this view, you can click Edit button, and again you get to the same list view editor dialog. No need to switch again back to the list view page, find necessary list view, make necessary changes, then get back to the dashboard customization dialog, then get back to the dashboard, real dashboard, to preview how it looks like. Everything now is pretty fluent on the same screen. There is no need to switch between pages, between tabs. You can do everything on the fly. Say I changed these deadline columns, moved it from the first place to the third one, click OK again, and preview will be refreshed, and now you can see that deadline is here. So, alright, so let's move to the next new feature. It's about Studio Live integration improvements. We have also some new additions. First of all, if we will go to projects and find some project which is linked with Studio Live project and select it, you can see that now application will display all phases from the Studio Live project right below the table. So you can see which phases it includes, source languages, target languages, file names, and users assigned to that phases. Also, that phases which are now in work or ongoing, then these phases are selected with green color, so you can quickly find what is happening now with the project. And another addition here is new functionality, Trados Live. If I select translation project, then click RWS on the toolbar, then Trados Live, and we now have this new item here, Manage Project Assignees. It allows to assign translators to your to your phases, to your files in the Studio Live right from TBM. It works like this. When this dialog is opened, application will search translation assignments in the project which contain a particular file from the Studio Live. If this translation assignment is found and this translation assignment has vendor selected, which is linked with Studio Live user, then this assignment will be automatically selected here by TBM, and new assignments also will be filled with the necessary data. But also you can do this manually, like this, and then you select vendor. So now application understands that current assignee is different than new assignee, so you can click apply, and instead of current user, new user will be assigned to the selected file. So now it's also much easier to manage current users in Studio Live projects. We had this similar functionality for group share, but now we have it for Studio Live as well. Great. All right, let's quickly move to the next feature. It's about invoices, electronic invoices. We have implemented a new template which will be useful only for our Switzerland users. It's about Swiss QR invoices. Now under print dropdown in the selector of templates, we have a new invoice template. It's named invoice CH, and it includes an area composed according to Switzerland law with QR code. So everything is placed here as per legislation. So now application can generate QR invoices according to Switzerland laws. All right, cool. Next one, notification categories, a new feature. If to go to reference data and open message templates, you can see that now we have additional column here, category. We can manage categories, move selected templates to categories. We can go to list of categories, create necessary categories here, and then assign them to any message templates. Why to do that? Because if to go to users and open some user and go to notifications tab, we now have a new set of tables, configuration tables. And the first table allows to specify receive notifications only from the following categories. So it allows to specify categories for the selected user from which and only from which this user should get notifications. If application sends notification which does not belong to that category, this user will not get it. Let's say we can categorize notifications by clients and by vendors and send to these admin user only notification which are coming from vendors, like that. Say vendor delivered assignment or accepted assignment, but for other user we can send notifications linked with quote creations by the customer or by quote acceptance or declining, like that. So you are free to choose. And second table allows to select notification categories included from notifications sent to that user. So do not receive notifications from the following categories. So only from these categories or accept these categories. Let's talk about next feature, custom notifications. If I click on the notification button, you will now find here a new button here, manage. It allows to open list of all notifications, and from this list you can create new notification, and you can select alarm time when it will be displayed. Let's try to select it like close to current time. User, let's say it will be admin, and message, test message. And now during a minute, you see that this minute has passed, and now it immediately showed me this notification. So I can you can now create custom notifications, and also when you're creating a notification, you can select some entity here, client or vendor or quote or anything, and when this custom notification appears, you can click on it and you will be immediately moved to selected, for example in this case, to this translation project, like that. Additionally, there is not mandatory to create notifications this way manually. In most of detail views, you will now find this button, create notification. So when you are viewing some entity like translation job or customer or project or assignment, anything, you will now have this button there, and you can click create notification, set alarm time, set text of notification, demo notification, say, click OK, notification has been successfully created, and then this notification will appear at assigned time for a current user, of course. So let's wait a bit, and I think we will see this notification coming in the bottom right corner. And I will demonstrate you that I can click on this notification and we will be moved immediately to translation job from which that notification was created. And here we are. You can see that new notification appears here, and if I click on it, I will be moved to linked translation job. Great. So it allows you to create some, if you have some document of interest and you want to get back to that document in some time, in a week or in a few days, you can quickly create this notification. It will be appeared for you, and you will not forget that you planned to do something or track some document in the system. Next feature which I wanted to cover in this video is improvements in filter editor, in the visual filter editor. We have translation job list opened, and if I click on this filter button, we get a filter editor appeared under the job list. And here we can select some field and then specify some value for a selected field. Let's say I will select language pair. And since language pair is a complex property, I have to select some nested property for which I want to provide some value. And in this case, a language pair has three properties: ID, source language, and target language. ID is a GUID, so when ID is selected, I can provide GUID value here, but it is not convenient and almost not possible to remember and provide ID values in the filter editor. Instead, we have to select, for example, source language or target language. And this property in its turn is also a complex property. And we cannot provide directly value for the source language, but we need to provide value for some nested property of this type of source language. And you can see that now we have this third, this is first, second, and this is third field for providing property name, and it contains list of properties of a selected source language field. And now I can select name, select contains, for example, and type some value in the field here. And you can see that list of jobs was filtered by languages where source language contains English. It seems like this view is customized and language pair is hidden, but filter was applied correctly. In previous version, this third field was missing, and you wasn't able to select some complex property and then nested property, other nested property of this complex property. You was able, for example, to select client and its name. Yeah, it's worked. But in case of complex property selected for the selected field, it didn't work, and you had to provide such filter string manually using this resultant filter field. Now, functionality of visual filter editor is extended, and you can do this using just mouse and selectors in this designer. So it's now much easier to use filter editor in the new version. Next feature I wanted to talk about is file selector. File selector is a dialog which is being shown when you create some entity from other entity. For example, you create translation assignment from a job, or mail message from invoice or project, or in different cases, in different scenarios of using an application. And it looks like this. The logic behind file selector is that it allows to attach some files from source entity to the target entity. But files could come from different sources. There is one main source, like translation job in this case, and this translation job can be linked with other entities. For example, translation job may contain nested translation assignment, or translation job could belong to translation project, which in its turn may have other nested translation job and translation assignments. And in TBM, when you create translation assignment in this case, you may select not only files from the main source entity, but all from these linked entities as well. And in previous version, this file selector contained a single grid with list of files, and it wasn't very obvious from where these files are coming from. So it was a bit confusing for our users. Now we have changed it, and we separated all the sources of files in this dialog, so it's easier for a user to navigate between files and to understand from where they are coming from. And the first group here, it has name selected with bold font, which means that this entity is main source entity. In this case, it is a job, and it has only one direct file inside it. Then this group is followed by other groups linked with this source entity. In this particular case, this job has two nested assignments, so application offers to attach a file not only from this job, but from these two nested assignments as well. And you can select any files from these assignments and click OK to create a new assignment. Also, we have added skip button here. So in previous version, you had only cancel and OK, and it wasn't clear how to what to do if you do not want to attach any files to a created assignment. Now we have this button, skip it, and it allows to move on to assignment creation without attaching any files. Cancel button will cancel the process of assignment creation, and you will return to the list of jobs. And OK button, of course, it allows to create assignment with two selected files in this case. So if I click OK and go to the Files tab, I will find, well, not two but one, because probably the second file was already deleted from hard drive, so application wasn't able to attach it to a created assignment. But this is how it works like. And also we immediately move to next feature implemented. In the file editor, we have added hide from portals column, and it allows to quickly hide the file from the vendor or customer portal depending on where this particular document will be appearing. If we are in the project and we have deliverable file for which could be downloaded for a client, but if for some reason we want to restrict this file downloading, then we can quickly check this box and this file won't be visible for our client. And in this case, for translation assignments, this file won't be visible for our vendors, so it will be attached to assignment to this assignment, but won't be visible for a vendor on the portal for downloading. So this is how it works like. So this is a list of changes, and of course we have implemented a lot more changes. We have improved application performance in many cases, made some works to improve memory consumption of the application, or for example added required software field to translation jobs and quotes like that. So now it's possible to select which software is required to be used in one or another project, and we can also have these variables, so in message templates, so we can include these into messages generated automatically or manually by you, like that. So a lot of changes, and we really hope that this new release will help you to not only boost management productivity, but it will make Trados Business Manager more stable and fast application, and thus more reliable for you. So long video, thank you for watching, and we'll be glad for any comments, feedback. As always, please send it privately or on our forums by any channel which Business Manager provides for you. So thank you, and see you next time. Bye bye.